Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today, as per my schedule, I am going to be talking about nationalism in a South Asian country other than India. The country I want to talk about today is Pakistan. I want to talk about the removal of Imran Khan as Prime Minister of Pakistan, and I want to discuss whether or not it was a conspiracy by foreign countries and whether foreign countries are also supporting his government. Let's begin. So, the Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan is gone after losing a no confidence vote. This no confidence motion required 172 votes in the 342 seat parliament to pass and was supported by 174 politicians. This vote happened on last Saturday, and the Friday before that, Khan anticipated the loss and called on his supporters to stage rallies because he claimed that the opposition colluded with the United States to unseat him. Now, in this video, I want to find out whether there's any truth to this allegation of his. First, we have to see where he began that whole timeline. Earlier in March, Imran Khan claimed had a no confidence motion that against him, and that was rejected. He survived that motion, which is why the second one was brought in. He claimed that Mr. Donald Liu, the top American official dealing with South Asia in the US State Department, was involved in the alleged conspiracy to topple his government. Imran Khan claimed that Donald Liu warned the Pakistani envoy to the US, Asad Majid, that there would be implications if the Pakistan Prime Minister survived a no trust vote in the National Assembly. Now, what is the reason for his statement? This is what caused that reason that America wanted him to be removed is because he visited Moscow on February 24th, the same day Russia began its invasion of Ukraine. The trip, Khan and his foreign minister would stress, had been planned in advance and thus only coincidentally fell on the date of the invasion. But Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi claimed that the US National Security Advisor made a call to his Pakistani counterpart asking Islamabad to cancel the visit. And Imran Khan claims that this adherence to an independent foreign policy irked the Americans, who then conspired to change the government in Islamabad to a more pliable one. Now, back to Donald Liu. Is that wait, let me just find the evidence that Khan has, that he claims to have, is a certain letter on which he has focused more than other aspects. But he did not reveal this letter either. He says that Donald Liu's warning was given in writing and it was contained in this letter. He waved it before the crowds, claiming that this was evidence of the conspiracy against him. However, he did not show its contents publicly and did not really explain what kind of document it was. The letter since then was referred to as a threat letter, but over time it was eventually made clear, including by Khan, that it was not really a letter published by any foreign foe or domestic rival. It was a diplomatic cable sent from the Embassy of Pakistan in the United States. It reportedly registered a conversation during a meeting between outgoing Pakistani ambassador Asad Majid Khan and his Donald Lu. Thus, uh, it should not be termed as a threat letter, but rather a letter that allegedly recorded a warning from a US official forwarded by Pakistan's diplomats. The cable, Khan claimed, was received by his government on March 7th or 8th. In his March 31st address to the nation, and again in another address on April 9th, Khan spoke of what occurred during the meeting. According to Khan's telling, as Washington was irked by Khan's recent refusal to cancel the visit to Russia, Pakistan's ambassador was told by the US official that in case the current Islamabad government was to survive the no confidence vote, Pakistan would face severe consequences from Washington. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what this cable contained, but I do know that it was just that there was a warning from the US to Pakistani diplomats, but I don't know if they said that he must be removed from office. And Khan also did not state when the meeting took place, so there's too many details that are left out of it for me to take it very seriously. But there is definitely true that the US did put pressure on Pakistan to condemn Russia and not to be neutral, which is what Imran Khan wanted to be and eventually was. Now, let's see how uh, others reacted to Imran Khan's claims. The US rejected it. The State Department spokesperson Ned Price asserted that there was no truth to the allegations, and the White House Communications Director stated that there's absolutely no truth to Khan's allegations of the US working with the opposition in Pakistan to remove him from power. Saying absolutely no truth is pretty harsh in diplomatic terms, and so I think we can understand that the US is very offended by this conspiracy theory leveled against them by Imran Khan. And the Pakistani military says that there, you can says that there's no conspiracy, that they don't think so, and he says this in reference to an NSC statement this month, which had expressed concern over non-diplomatic language used in a cable from a foreign country, widely assumed to mean the United States. And but there was no term, no mention of the word conspiracy in it. And so the military also disagreed with him. It will be interesting to see whether the Pakistani people agree with him and support him in now that he's out of power. So yeah, that's how the U.S. acted during this period. Now, how did Pakistan's other partner react? China. Earlier in March, the Chinese deputy head of mission of the Chinese embassy, Pang Chunshui, held a meeting with the Pakistan Muslim League Quiet leaders, during which she conveyed that China wants political and economic stability in Pakistan. The Express Tribune newspaper reported. China wants political and economic stability in Pakistan, and she called on the PMLQ leaders and discussed in detail the current political situation in Pakistan. And so this can be inferred as saying to them to not support the no confidence motion. And the no confidence motion failed. So perhaps that was due to some pressure leveled by China. But again, there's no solid verbal proof or proof of any bribery. Uh, then, in the second no confidence motion, where it was clear that Imran Khan's government was set to fall, China simply asked all parties in Pakistan to stay united. This, I think, was a general statement to not become destabilized politically, but it is also a sign commenting on the internal politics of another country. And this is kind of hypocritical that the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin says that China is committed to a non interference policy when they are interfering in Pakistan's internal affairs. Yeah. In this article by the Global Times, they said that Pakistan is possibly a new victim of the US political meddling to contain China's rise. Pakistan, China's iron brother, has recently been plunged into political turmoil. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan on Sunday managed to block a vote of no confidence tabled by the opposition. After the motion was rejected and Khan addressed the meeting, named a senior US diplomat as the person involved in the foreign conspiracy. And yeah, according the article says that Zhao Gangcheng, a research fellow at the Shanghai Institute for International Studies, told them that Washington has failed in its attempts to rope in Khan. This is referring to how they've failed to get Pakistan to agree to have American bases in Pakistan so that they can conduct operations in Afghanistan. Uh, they no longer can drone strike terrorists in Pakistan like they used to, and that Khan is being more independent of them. And according to this research fellow, it is possible that now that the U.S. has meddled in Pakistan's politics to topple the current government. And another a person, Liu Zhongyi, Secretary General of the Research Center for China, believes the West, and particularly the US, doesn't want to see Khan remain in power since he has gotten tougher on them. So, yeah, we can see that many people in China believe that this was a conspiracy, but they won't admit to the fact that they were also influencing politics in Pakistan, which is hypocritical. And now that Shehbaz Sharif has come to power as the next prime minister, Chinese official media says that he will be better for China-Pak ties than Imran Khan. Uh, so much for loyalty, eh? This is again from the same Global Times. Chinese and Pakistani analysts consider that the solid China Pakistan relations will not be affected by the internal political change in Pakistan because to safeguard and develop the bilateral ties is the joint consensus of all parties and all groups in Pakistan. So, yeah, that's what the US and China were doing during this whole episode in Pakistani politics. The US did put external pressure, like they criticized Imran Khan's foreign policy. They tried to pressure him to support them against Russia, but didn't. But there's still no evidence that they actually influenced the politics of Pakistan. But now China did not put any pressure on Imran Khan to change his foreign policy or his internal policy. They weren't being in any way domineering towards him, even though the relationship between them is one of dominance, where Pakistan is subservient completely to China. And so, yeah, we can see that, but China did influence the internal politics of Pakistan. So we can see that both the big powers of the world did try to uh, have some control over Pakistan's fate, as it were. And I think this is wrong. I don't think countries should be uh, telling others how to handle their foreign policies with other countries. And I also don't think that they should be interfering in their politics either for the government or against the government. And I think that would have been best if neither of these countries had said anything during the situation. And yeah, I hope that this doesn't happen again in another country, because when we see major powerful countries like China and the US bullying and interfering in the affairs of smaller countries like Pakistan, a third party like me, India, gets a little nervous because I don't know if the US will pressurize us or China will influence my country's politics, and becomes more difficult for the Indian government to work with these countries in an atmosphere of trust. So yeah, this is unfortunate, but ultimately it is a democratic process. The Pakistani parliament has the right to issue a no confidence motion and to pass it. And I'm glad that this happened without any violence, which has happened before in Pakistan's history, unfortunately. But I'm sad to see another Pakistani prime minister fail to complete his term. Now, as far as Imran Khan's term in office, I think that there were some successes, but mostly failures. The successes were that he was not, he could uh, be independent of the US. He wasn't a puppet like the other governments who would allow American soldiers, armies to use Pakistan as a base for operations in Afghanistan, which would include drone strikes against Pakistani civilians or citizens who the US claimed were terrorists and who were terrorists according to international law, but those drone strikes often killed innocent civilians. So, yeah, that's something that really upset a lot of Pakistanis and was wrong. The Pakistan government should not have looked away when that happened. And yeah, I'm glad that he did that. I also think that he was, I compared to other prime ministers and politicians in Pakistan, I think he was either not corrupt or very less corrupt compared to the others. And he did try to uh, put away, end corruption in Pakistan, but failed. But his failures are more in that Pakistan's debt increased to very high levels by because he continued the Pakistan policy of taking loans from the IMF, the World Bank, China, which previous governments did this, and also due to the bad economic policies of the previous governments, which Imran Khan continued, inflation grew high to levels that were very difficult for the Pakistani people to handle. And yeah, I think on the whole, his term was negative, but I also know that he is very popular amongst the Pakistani people. So it'll be interesting to see if he runs again in 2023 elections. And as for now, with the new Pakistan government, I wish them luck. I hope that they can be peaceful with India and that they succeed in developing Pakistan, uh, both economically and uh, diplomatically and politically. So, so that's the video. If you want to see other videos about nationalism in South Asia, click on the playlist here. If you want to see my previous video, click the video here. If you want to see the sources that I used for this video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram.